Peace, family. What's going on with y'all, man? Quick video today. Haven't been on social media in a while. Been, in these books, uh, you know, trying to find the truth, trying to find, reality, I guess you could say. So I want to start today off with this demonstration. All right. So I got a box of American Spirits on here. American Spirit cigarettes. I mean, I know I had stopped smoking cigarettes, but you know, bought this box. You know, but just look at it, right? So on it, it's depicting a Native American, a so-called Indian, right? What color is he? Black, right? Now, what am I saying? Am I saying American Spirit's trying to tell us who we really are? Not necessarily, but it's not just this. You can Google Italian blackamoor bust of Native Americans or Native Indians or American Indians, and you'll see the same thing. You'll see the same thing, a black statue, like a literal black statue. You can look up the original Statue of Liberty. It's a black woman. Okay. So at some point we have to ask ourselves, what is it that the rest of the world knows that we don't? All right. So real quick, let me, but that's the thing, you look at all of this other art. You look at this art from the early 1800s and before, and how they depict the people of Turtle Island, aka America, aka the Americas, and they depict them as black. Now, a quick experiment that we can all do as so-called black people or so-called Negroes. If you identify as black, do this experiment with me. All right. Now, I don't have a penny on hand right now. I could actually grab one out of my car, but I think we all know what a penny looks like. All right. Now, my hair is black, right? My shirt is black. My eyebrows, my mustache is black. Okay. Now, compare that to the contrast with my skin. Okay. Now, what would you say is a more accurate representation of the color of my skin? Black, the color of my hair, or copper, the color of a penny? Okay, so it's simple. So when you look at when you read in these books about the copper color indigenous races of Turtle Island, aka America, or South America, or the Caribbean, you're reading about yourselves. Okay. Now, what I actually came on this video to, the point I came to make here is that a lot of people feel like so-called Negroes, so-called black people in America claiming native ancestry is, sort of a method of shunning Africa. They feel like you just want to be Native American because you don't want to be African. And I can see where that comes from, but let me explain why that's not the case. When we talk about natives of America, right? Because America, okay, first of all, we know in 1492 Columbus sailed the ocean blue, right? But what a lot of people don't realize is he never set foot in what we now know as America, the United States of America. He never set foot in there. He was sailing to Hispaniola, okay, which is the island that has the Dominican Republic and Haiti on it, okay? Now, there was a priest with him that wrote a journal describing how they completely obliterated the native population from 3 million to, when they got there, to the point where he was writing that where only 600 people lived on that island. So that really explains why the transatlantic slave trade was necessary, because they needed to repopulate those islands down there because they had decimated them. Okay, so that explains why the majority of the slaves taken from Africa were taken to the Caribbean, because they had murdered the indigenous population down. They whittled it down to nothing. Okay, So that's why when you hear Nightwolf tell Minister Farrakhan that only 8% of the slaves in America, the United States of America, were actually brought from somewhere else, meaning that 92% of the enslaved population was already on America, in America, before it was called America. That just goes to show you what we're talking about. So when we talk about natives, we're looking at things through a Eurocentric point of view. And really Eurocentric is a misnomer in itself, because the Caucasians that are doing, that have done all this colonization aren't the real European. They aren't indigenous Europeans either. You see? You look at Aboriginal people from anywhere. Look at like when you think of Australia, you think of, hello, mate, and good day, mate, and kangaroo jack, and crikey, mate, and crocodile, and, Steve Irwin here, and, crikey, and all of that shit, right? But the reality is the Aboriginal people of Australia are blacker than me. And these white people went over to Australia and murdered nearly all of them. Same story everywhere they go. A pale horse and death was its rider. That's the story. So when we talk about who these people, Columbus and Amerigo Vespucci, classify as natives, we're talking about who was there when they arrived. You see? So we know that the Phoenicians sailed to America from Africa thousands of years ago, okay? And some of them settled in America. So if Amerigo Vespucci arrives to Turtle Island and sees Phoenicians and classifies them as natives, that doesn't mean that they shun their African roots. The fact that they, that they're Phoenician, or, were originally Phoenician people, or, traveled from Africa, that's just saying that, hey, this new dude on the block just showed up. And so whoever was here before him is classified as a native. Okay, and one more quick point, because I didn't want to make this video too long, is that, once again, I made this point in the last video, but the, people that they put in front of you as Native Americans currently and today, they tell you that those people came from the Bering Straits. They walked across the land bridge from Asia to America, but yet they want to tell you that these people are natives. Okay, so the real story to that is that, yes, there were people that that came over here from the Bering Strait, the Mongoloids, and they intermixed with the people that were already here, giving you the red man. Black and yellow make red. It is what it is. And so that's the thing. The official story doesn't really necessarily tell you that there were no black people here when these people arrived. They just kind of threw you off with classifying ethnicity through skin color, basically, because anybody of a certain skin, they made Indian or so-called Indian a skin tone, or like, a red. If you were darker than this certain red, you were a Negro and a slave. And I have the Negro laws from South Carolina that basically outline that. It's like anybody over, that's not the Indian skin tone red is considered a Negro or slave, or any Indians that aren't a part of these civilized tribes or whatever. They had certain tribes that they would acknowledge as natives, and everybody else was a slave, basically. So they're not really hiding the fact that they've misclassified a lot of native people as Negroes or slaves. So it's just up to us to really understand that, really, and just not go with the narrative, because I feel like a lot of the narrative we create for ourselves. They tell us about, Africans being brought over as slaves, and so you fill in the blank with your own mind that every black person here is from Africa, and I don't really think they officially ever said that, but it was just they gave you a piece of information and you filled in the rest of the story with that. So yeah, guys, I don't want to keep this too long. I wanted to keep it under 10 minutes or whatever, but this is just another update. And I'm sorry for kind of being all over the place, but, just to bring it back home, just because black people were here before Amerigo Vespucci doesn't mean that, those people that claim that history of being here before the colonizers, that doesn't mean that they discount the fact that their roots may lie in Africa initially. But what we're talking about is before this European colonization of Turtle Island, we were here. That's all it is.